Looking good, looking good.
Everyone's looking real good, except for someone.
Except for me.
Ooh,
Welcome to another episode of Something's Coming. This is your host, Nims, aka Old Nims, aka Uncle Nims.
yes, sir.
Thank you so much for joining us. Sometime in 2023, potentially,
Whenever.
April, hopefully. We got our regular bandits.
You know who it is. It's your boy, Zeeth, Young Zazu.
What's up, guys? Khan, aka Khan 1 of 1. Without further ado, the one and only blessing us with his presence, passing over to our special guest today.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Terrence. You can call me Teasy, Terry, Big T, Little T, Pastor T, Rev, how you want it, any way you want it.
Man of many
Ple- ple-
names.
Pleasure to meet you all.
Cheesy Teasy.
Heavy, man.
TZ. When I'm
Easy
getting serious.
Teasy, Easy Teasy, Lemon Squeezy.
Yeah. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you for coming on today, for letting us kind of occupy your space and be a part of your Sunday service today as well. It's a real special occasion for us. Khan, you got more to say about that one? That was your time to jump in.
Damn, you really threw it to me straight. I was daydreaming for a second. What you say? I went to the service. Yes, the service was great. I must say it's my first service I've ever been to.
Right.
Only other 2 times I've been to a church was for a wedding. It was really cool because I was saying, obviously I'm not a Christian, so I'm a Muslim, and every time we go to the mosque, you got to take your shoes off because everyone sits on the carpet. So it's quite nice to keep my kicks on, and no one's gonna steal my shoes at the end of the session. But also everyone was dressed very casually, and it was cool. There's a lot of youthful people around, which is nice.
Yeah. Everyone was dressed really
We
casually.
was looking like real good guys.
Yeah. Everyone thought I was gonna sell them like some preachers.
Yeah, some SIM cards or
We was
something.
about to
Like
sell
that.
the wrong religion.
For broader context for our viewers, this episode is going to be about faith. It's why TZ's kind of opened the doors to us. He is in our kind of circle of friends, the symbol of faith, I would say. The man that and the person that we kind of look to as a guiding light in so many ways, but a man who walks in faith, and that is deeply respected, not just because of that, but is always willing to open his doors to anyone who's willing to keep an open mind. And I think everyone in your church really kind of lived up to that spirit as well, which is fantastic. So thank you so much for having us today. Man.
Pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Let's get talking about these fits, because there's a lot of stylish guys walking around here. And TZ, you still looking fly, even though
I try,
you
man. I
suited
try.
up, man.
I feel like you guys are more set for worship than I am, to be honest with you.
Well, TZ, why don't you start us off, man? Talk us through the ensemble.
Well, I've gone to the classic black and white. I keep it clean on a Sunday, here to worship. I've got the Comme des Garçons white t-shirt, inclusive of baby stains from Karen, the good old 1-year-old. But, absolutely, Zeeth. Character is what it's about. I got the Uniqlo black suit pants because I'm all about value and quality. So thank you, Uniqlo.
Amen.
To top it off, a little splash of color from, our good friend Eddie, actually, who brought us, into the light of Song for the Mute, great Australian high-end fashion brand. Did a collaboration with Adidas, so I was able to cop a pair of these. Actually, fun fact, Nims was going to cop a pair of these, but unfortunately, no more, huh? No more of your sizes.
Yeah,
It's a problem.
that's a damn
it's a problem.
shame. You didn't even want these. Huh?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
But here I am, rocking them. So fit check.
And you got a little bit of jewelry on your fingers.
Yeah.
A little bit. A few little jewelry pieces, few rings. The essential wedding ring band.
Shout out to Elia.
Yeah. Shout out to Elia. But actually a couple of other rings that are also from Elia, little gifts. So got a koi fish that as a Chinese man, the koi fish represents perseverance. And then a little dragon, which in Chinese culture often represents prosperity. So both gifts from Elia. So much love to my wife. And then actually, the watch itself is also an engagement present from the missus. So
Yeah, bro,
you
you'd
gotta
be
get me
naked
one,
without her.
man.
yeah, I am. She's looking after me well. She's looking after me well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Blessings,
Elia,
though,
man.
man.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Blessings.
Shout out Elia's on the way to BJJ training right
Yeah,
now.
she's a warrior. She's a workhorse. You know, I think she definitely puts me to shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every time we catch up, she's always whipping Terrence into shape for a good reason.
Absolutely, we're getting big in different directions. Let's put it that way. You know, you could say we're both getting big, but she's fit and I'm happy. Happy fat. you
I'm
know?
way happy.
Yeah.
My dog. You know, speaking of, man, talk us through this fit, man.
Good check.
Hey man, I'm trying to get on the Sunday best aesthetic like TZ, but today we're going to got the wrong Playboy vibes in the wrong church. You know what I mean? But we got the Uniqlo suit. Got the Uniqlo shirt.
Yes, sir.
Got
Two
the
piece.
Uniqlo pant.
Three-piece.
That's it. You know what I mean? They call me
Three-piece combo.
three-piece seat. You feel me?
Yeah, like a KFC
That's
special
it, man.
box.
That's it, man.
Alright.
They got me the Kmart socks. Budget. Kmart boots, baby.
Amen.
Love
Keeping
that.
the home
Yes, sir.
territory.
Yes, sir.
You got a little name tag too?
Lane tag. In case somebody does know, it's Zeeth, aka Suit Guy.
Suit guy.
You feel me?
If you ever got a problem, call Suit guy.
Call
He'll
me.
sort you
Anything.
out, bro.
I'll sort
He'll
you out,
sort you out.
1-800 But yeah, on the topic, man, I'm actually rocking a Uniqlo full piece.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I'm just
this-
saying, Uniqlo, get in, man.
Man, this was a
Sponsor
slim
us.
fit when I got it, and must admit I was struggling to get into it this morning. It was looking tight.
He's putting his pants on. He goes, man, these are tight. I was
I was like 1, 2, 3, suck it.
and he's like, are we gonna have lunch before or after the shoot, man? Because I might not fit in this
Yeah,
suit. if
Yeah,
we're out.
I was thinking about actually going like fast into this because I was like, I'm probably gonna be tight, but I've got the little trusty the thing buttoned up. So
Nice.
it's all
Hey,
good.
man, you looking good.
Looking
the
good,
hood.
man.
Looking
What
good.
about these kicks? They're
Yeah, I'm just wearing
impressive.
my trusty, my broke Doc Martens I've had for years, and they do the deed, man. But yeah, super happy with my Uniqlo piece. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Looking suave, looking
fun,
suave, man. This is a Zara suit. I like buying cheap suits and then buying nice sneakers. This is probably the most important part of the outfit. Don't even think about all this. Got the Zeeth beads on, of course. Fresh from Cambodia, you know what I'm saying?
Got you.
And then, the CDG Connies, fresh out the box and that second wear.
Damn.
But it ain't no Song for the Mute Adidas collabs, but we'll get there. We wanted to make sure that we didn't embarrass you, but we ended up embarrassing you.
maximum effort.
Maybe that's why everyone was so nice.
Maybe it was pity this whole time.
Faith is so individualistic. It can be kind of wrapped into culture and our upbringings and the places we grow up in the world. I think we've got an extremely diverse room here. Love to go around. I was going to say a table, but just a circle, I guess.
Put an imaginary table here.
Trapezoid we got going on here, and talk through our experiences in faith, introductions to faith, and how it's a part of our lives now. So I might start with TZ, I guess.
Yeah, pleasure.
Take it from there.
So I guess for me, actually, faith is a funny thing. I think growing up in a Chinese household, context, Australian-born Chinese, migrant parents who I think, I'll be honest, I wouldn't say my parents are very religious. I think they would fall under the category of being raised in that Buddhist, Taoist kind of upbringing. They knew of the traditions involved in that. And I think they kind of tried to pass that a little bit down to my sister and I, but I wouldn't say strongly. I don't think my parents ever felt too strongly about that side of things and religion. And so for me, I think really started to delve into Christianity I'd say late high school, and really took it seriously straight after high school. Back in like 2010. So it's been a while. But I guess for me, I'd say I'm an Australian-born Chinese who is a Christian.
How did you actually? It's very interesting you say. So your parents are Buddhists and obviously not kind of deeply religious.
Yes.
But probably through customs and traditions,
Yep.
have that attachment to religion. How did you get introduced to Christianity?
Yeah, good question. So at the time in high school, there was a kind of event that was quite known in especially the Sydney Christian circles. It was like a high school students event. It was called Rice, what a name. And unsurprisingly, Asian targeted audience.
Yeah, right.
But basically, it was a massive kind of like a high school Christian event. And honestly, I rocked up to it as more of a social thing. I had one Christian mate in high school who brought myself and a bunch of other mates to the event, and it was a lot of fun. It was, high energy. It was great. But there was a talk there that I remember vividly. The speaker talked about this topic of waiting for the world to change, and he talked a bit about kind of what is the purpose of this life? If the world is moving so quickly, you have suffering, but you also have beautiful things, and everything all happens so quickly. How do you make do with what is going on with life and its purpose? And I think it didn't give me answers, but it gave me curiosity. And so I think this is 2007. I was in year 10, and it was enough for me to want to find out a bit more. But my mate at the time, he lived quite far from where I lived, and so his church was quite far, and I was in high school, so I didn't drive yet. And so thankfully, I had a childhood friend, shout out Danny. He, I've known him since, we were young boys out in Western Sydney, and he came to this church. And so he invited me here, and I started coming to this church, and actually much like the experience that you guys felt today, I think I just felt very welcomed. I enjoyed the social aspect. And I think being a high school kid, it was kind of weird and kind of cool to make friends outside of school.
Right.
And I really enjoyed that, and meeting other kind of like demographic and like aged people. And so it was actually because of that kind of started it all. I came to this church, and I've been at this church ever since. I've visited many other churches in terms of just to see what it's like or say hi to friends in those other churches, but this has always been my only home church, as we call it.
Right.
Yeah.
How'd you kind of navigate that conversation with your parents?
True.
Yeah. No, great question.
Point.
Yep. Okay. Great questions. I think for me, and transparently, like, I think I honestly kept coming more for the social aspect at first.
Got you.
I was in year 10. I was like 15, 16. And I'll be honest, there was a girl that I was interested in that was here.
God bless.
God bless. And I think, a lot of that kind of kept me here more for those sort of reasons. It was only really, I think the turning point was HSC. For the viewers out there who don't know what HSC is, I guess that's kind of like, what do you call it, college or university entrance exams for us here in Australia. And I think at that point in time, growing up in an Asian household, academics there's a lot of emphasis put on academics as kind of, this is your gateway into the world and success and everything that is linked to that.
Right.
And so I think I kind of definitely fell into that. Probably part of it as, to be honest with you, my personality is a bit of a people pleaser. So I think I did want to please my parents in that regard. But I think as I kind of got into year 12 and HSC and got ready for uni, I think I just felt this immense pressure to, is this what life is going to be about?
Yeah, right.
Is it just studies and success and money and work and, finding longevity and health and all that stuff? And I guess it just fueled further curiosity to the initial curiosity that I already had. And so when I finished my HSC and I got my result, I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy with my HSC result, and I felt disappointed. But I think that's where then all those things I've just shared, it kind of came to the forefront and made me go, you know what? I'm at church anyway. Beyond just the social aspect, there is something about the teaching that, you know what? Let's give this a go. And then I think from kind of like first year uni onwards, I really started to delve into Christianity and explore it. And I think since then, it's been about like 13 years or so since then. And, I think I've gone through a lot, from being trained at church and reading the Bible with people to going to conferences and training events to even doing mission in Ethiopia. I'm very thankful for a lot of things that have played into the growth of my faith. But I think along the way, and to answer your question, Zeeth, definitely I think talking to my parents about that was interesting, because I think actually coming to church and youth group at first wasn't hard. So like I said, my parents know of religious things in Chinese culture, but they're not very religious people themselves. And so when I told them that I wanted to actually find my own faith in religion, they said, oh, great, good. I think probably a part of that is an understanding, a lack of understanding of Christianity. And so they saw it more as a place of developing good morals, which they thought that's a good thing to have. So they were very much for it until I started to say, hey, you know what? I want to really grow in this. I want to maybe even start serving at church. I want to join Bible studies that are, outside of just the Sunday slot. I want to be a leader at church. When I started to get really involved, I think because I was still young, I was still in kind of like, late high school and uni. I think their concerns were always studies, getting ready for work. And so I think a lot of the navigation was more about trying to ensure, how do I say to my parents, actually, this is really important to me. So much so I think it's the most important thing to me.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that I want to disrespect you guys and what you guys want from me, because I know that that's a good thing as well. And so there was a lot of tension, a lot of conflict, and a lot of conversation and a lot of prayer to kind of get to a point where my parents now are really accepting and really, I think I'd even go so far as to say they're grateful for Christianity in my life and now in my sister's life as well. And how it's kind of come into the family. No, my parents aren't Christian, and they're still probably in the same place religiously, but I think they're a lot more accepting of it now.
For context, my mom is, comes from a Protestant household, and then my dad's side is Roman Catholic, right? And so they're two different meshes of Christianity. And I'd say we're a pretty religious family. My mom's family for generations have been Christian, and so their traditions are heavily steeped in it. My dad, his family was quite, they were slightly more recent in terms of their conversion, because he came from a village and things like that, and so they were Catholic. And so growing up in that system, religion and the faith to me was, okay, you're just, you go to church. You go to church on Sunday because that's what your parents do, and that's what they did, and that's what their grandparents did. So you go to church and you just kind of run with it, right? But it's kind of refreshing and really eye-opening to see someone understand faith in a little bit more of a modern light, a different perspective. Because for me, I've only recently been able to really take ownership of my faith. I'm not saying I'm perfect and I've got it down pat. You know what I mean? I'm still working at it, still trying to figure it out. But only recently that happened, because for a while it was, go to church, and if you don't go to church, you're not really a good Christian. You don't to this day, I'm not good. With Catholic, there's a lot of different prayers you got to learn, right? And a lot of people know that stuff if they go to Sunday school and all that stuff. But I'll be I'm a 26-year-old man, and they're kids who know this stuff by heart, and they're looking at me don't you know this stuff? And I'm like, no, I don't. You know what I mean? But
stop looking at me.
Exactly. Pay attention, man. My background in faith is definitely one that it does come out of tradition, but I am trying to find my place in it, and I think. I'm trying to do it slowly and being forgiving about it, because there can be days, my mom will be in my DMs make sure you go to church, make sure you read the Bible every day, make sure you're praying, and it's it's tough in a day and age where you have to go to work 9 to 5. You have to work out. If you don't work out, then you're not gonna get your life right. If you got to make sure to save, you got to make sure to cook at home. There's so many things to figure out, and on top of that, then you have this overwhelming bit of your identity that's been religion and faith, and you're well, shit, man, how do I make sure I pray well, and how do I make sure I'm a Christian? Because one thing about being a Christian is the idea of heaven, right? And being able to do what you can so that when you do pass and you hopefully make it into heaven, Lord knows it's a struggle right now. You know what I mean? But now I'm starting to understand that my identity doesn't necessarily have to be hard and fast rules, because life is not hard and fast. There's no winning formula to it, right? I think if you bring that same approach to faith, then you're just not going to find it. You know what I mean? At least that's me. So I think for me, it's been nice to be okay, cool. These are the things I agree with about the Bible, about the passages, about what, the traditions are. And so right now I'm just trying to take my time to really make it my own.
Wow.
I think, who we have at the table is actually really interesting, because we kind of have, we've almost completed the book. We've got a Hindu at the table. We've got a Muslim at the table. We've got, a new Christian at the table. You know what I mean? Yeah. If we only just had a few more, we'd complete the book.
Brown Boys United Nations.
That's exactly it, Con.
Yes, sir.
So I think to this episode is actually really interesting for me because it's like, okay, how do you guys do it? Because by any means, like if someone were to look at us point blank, they're not thinking, oh, these boys go to church or these boys are
100%.
good
Actually,
faithful
that
boys.
is for damn sure. If you guys rocking up to some church, random church, you'd be like,
yeah.
these guys?
Yeah.
You looking for a temple? You looking for a temple?
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Content in the bag, like they got barbecue or something.
Yeah, we didn't order Chinese food.
So yeah, like that's why I'm like, but at the same time, knowing you guys, I'm like, these guys are steeped in their own belief systems and their own values, and they practice it. And you can tell, like knowing you guys, you can definitely tell, like, right, you might not be religious by the conventional form of it, right, by the institutional form of it, but damn, if I were to talk about it, you guys can go in length into like belief systems, right? So
Big time.
I think it's really interesting for me to kind of understand what you bring to the table. And really also for me, like I might throw it back to you, Nims, to kind of jump into it because I'm Indian. You know, I didn't grow up in India, but a lot of the other Indian people I know are Hindu, right? So like, I think I kind of want to understand what that.
Yeah, look, to say, man, if my cousins, any of my family watching this and like you just call me Hindu, they'd like be spitting whatever they're eating out right now. They're like, this guy? This motherfucker? But, no, I was like born into the Hindu religion. My mother is, I would say, pretty religious. I think in terms of like holding on to the customs and traditions, like going to temple when she can. Doing the kind of rituals every morning, especially now that my brother and I kind of moved out of home, she's definitely getting more into her faith and she has the time to kind of get into her faith. But my relationship with the Hindu religion and faith in general is like, it's so weird. Like, and that's the reason I don't say I'm not Hindu because I'm a blasphemous guy. Like, but like, it's deeper than just kind of belonging to one religion. So like, growing up, I never. And this is just the kid's mentality, and I guess I haven't matured in some ways, but I never understood certain customs around religions. And particularly for me in Hinduism, there was kind of, you can't do this on certain days, you can't eat beef here, you can't, for 2 weeks this time of the year, we're going to be vegetarian, or you got to, one of my cousins said this to me like a while ago, and it always stuck with me. She's like, I don't understand why we've got to cut the coconut this way, and we've got to do this a certain way, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And I just, the rituals I could never understand. I could never really kind of put wholeheartedly my faith into, and it didn't make me question things. But my parents were really cool in the sense that, and particularly my mother, I think they never forced religion upon us growing up. I think we knew we were Hindu and we went to temple occasionally, and my mother had her faith and her religion, her relationship with her faith. And if anything, my brother and I, even to this day, will go to temple with her because she will just ask us to go to temple with her. Yeah. She won't say, you need to pray. She'll say, I would like you to come to temple with me, please. Gotcha. Of course. That's a non-negotiable for me. I'm there. Yeah. She was surrounded by different faiths. And she used to tell all these stories to me about her friends growing up in these different faiths. And I love that. I found that so interesting. And so I think my mother actually didn't teach me how to be a Hindu. She taught me how to appreciate faith in all its forms. And in a way wanted me to figure out my own journey on my own. The thing that kind of sews it all together for me is like a belief in faith. And I'm a faithful person. Like I believe in faith in a different form, I guess you could say. And we'll kind of elaborate on that later, but I'm always trying to keep the faith.
First of all, I must say it's been so refreshing and educating to hear of your perspectives. And I think whilst we're close, we don't really speak about like our religion. It's really nice that you guys have been, one, just basically teaching. Like it's nice to hear from your perspective. And yeah, I guess throwing to me, I am Muslim. I mean, being a Turkish person, the majority religion in Turkey is Muslim. But in saying that, I am definitely not a religious person. Neither is my family. And being born in Australia and like growing up with a Turkish family, the religious values I have in my life to this day is basically brought through my cultural heritage. So my family's not religious, but half of when you go to Turkey, you'll see a lot of people that are religious and that are non-religious. So we call it, it used to be such a secular country. I don't know. I don't keep up with the politics too much these days, but it's not being the exact same case.
Right.
For the first sort of childhood years of my life, went to just a public school, and it was very much so, religion wasn't a thing. And then as I was kind of like 8 years old and onwards, I went to a private school in Western Sydney that was founded by a Turkish person. So it was very multicultural, but in saying that, my parents sent me because one, they had Turkish speaking classes, so I get to actually speak, and I can speak fluently, which is actually quite a nice skill to have today. Yeah. But I guess there was 10 to different 15 nationalities in my school, and everyone had their own sort of languages, but the majority religion in our school that was shared was actually Islam as well. So they would have religion class, and you'd learn about different religions, but also on Fridays you would actually be able to do Friday prayer and things like that as well. And then being 18, going to uni, starting in a job at a pub where alcohol was served and all that stuff. And it was funny, like for the first 2-3 years of working at the pub, I'd be breaking my fast behind a bar. So it'd be like funny as fuck. Like I'd be working in a bistro bar, like, start my shift at 5 p.m. and like, it'll be like, break the fast around 5:15, whatever. It'll be like, vary every single time.
Yeah.
I was living at home at these times, and bless my mum, she'd pack me like my food to my iftar to break the fast. I'd have like soup, the salads, the proteins, like the whole shebang. So I'd be like, before I'd be, do my shift, I'd be like in the back of the kitchen, like just making sure like all my glassware, everything's set up. Then I'd be like back at the wash bay, just like smashing food and whatever. And then, basically like serving like 150 beers and like wines and spirits for the rest of the shift. So it was so funny. And then the licensee or the manager would come and like, what the fuck are you doing? I'm like, oh, this is this is breaking fast. But luckily the boys in the kitchen were, they were like Bangladeshi or Nepalese. So like most of them were like Muslims. So we had that bit of a connection there. So it wasn't too foreign for the rest of the guys that worked there. But it was just cool. Everyone was very supportive of it. But then, I haven't fasted for probably like, I'd say 10 years now. So I think because I love who I am, and I think my personality and my identity has been sort of shifted and changed and evolved over the last couple of years and for most of my life really. I always just say, this is me. I'm so unique because again, if I say to someone, if I meet a Turkish person, we're totally different. Like a lot of people think, if you're Indian or if you're Chinese or whatever, everyone's the same. Like everyone, very similar. But however, again, it's the way you're brought up in any culture, any family upbringing. It's like you're actually different. Like, and so in that sense, I don't consider myself a classic Turkish Aussie or a Muslim or whatever that case may be, because I can't really say that I am. Yeah. I'm so unique in my personal experience that I just say I'm me. And I kind of say everything that's I've grown up with has shaped the person I am today, like the values I have, but I don't necessarily cling on to a certain cultural group identity or whatever, because at the end of the day, like I can't be representative of that thing. I'm proud of who I am, but I don't really boast about it because again, I don't want to give people a false identity of that particular, group.
Well, let's get to it. This is the icebreaker segment. You look very surprised right now. You're like, what the hell's going on?
What's going on?
Yeah.
Like a game show, bro.
This is where we review some delicious beverages and quench our thirst at the same time. Z, you grab that can quicker than lightning, so I'm going to throw it to you, my man.
Trying to have some green power.
Green power.
See it.
I'll just say before you start, Nims, you've done a hell of a job buying these.
Yeah.
Yes,
these
sir.
ones
They're all
look
different.
Appreciate.
Might just say, just quickly, you've curated these drinks specifically for the person.
I have. I might actually, I'll do a little quick intro and throw it to you, Z.
Yes, please.
There was a peach drink, and obviously that's Papa Peach right there.
Yeah.
But I thought, let me not be crass. It's Sunday, we're in a, place of faith.
Yeah.
Get him the guava juice, something a little fresh and clean, just like my boy.
Mm-hmm.
Fresh is so clean.
Green power.
Y'all.
Take it
You
away.
want to see the peach? See me on Monday.
Aha.
Here we go, y'all.
That's a sturdy can, bro.
Yeah.
It is. Got some weight on it.
Actually, before you drink, why don't you?
Yeah, let me talk y'all through this one. This is Green Power guava juice. I didn't really have guava juice. Not really a fruit you can juice, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But
interesting.
they did it. This is made in Taiwan. It's new packaging.
Oh, interesting.
Apparently the
Very cool
packaging,
color.
used to be different. So this is looking good, man. It's got 23 grams of sugar. So here we go.
And it's
Looking
also
good.
yellow. I would assume yellow is lemon, but it's
You would have thought that.
Deceptive, man.
Yeah.
Deceptive.
Bottoms up.
Taiwanese guavas.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Oh,
Slip.
that's lovely.
Oh.
That's really good.
That's good?
That's like
Oh.
that. You can taste the sugar, but that's welcome.
That's
Yeah.
It's got like the nice hints of guava because I wouldn't say guava is like a fruit that punches you in the face. It's like
Yeah.
it's one that you're like it's a nice tropical
Subtle.
fruit.
What does
Great.
guava taste like, man?
Look, if I had to explain it, it's like a girl wearing a sunflower dress walking through a bed of daisies.
Oh.
That's what guava
My-
Can't
tastes
say I've tasted that before.
Yeah. Neither have I.
Interesting.
I think that's what it tastes like.
It's like a mirage right now.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, I'm seeing things right now.
Interesting.
Give us our rating, my G.
Out of 5, I'm gonna give it a good 4. It's a great one for
That's a winner.
nice hot day.
Yeah.
It's nice.
That's a winner.
By
And
the
also,
way,
let's like talk about the size. Like this is
Yeah.
That's value.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that size, but it's
Yeah.
quite big and thick.
Yeah,
size doesn't matter
Or
as
how you use it.
as what I've heard
But
exactly.
also, I'd be very happy to walk around with that can. It just looks like
Aesthetic.
it's
Yeah.
aesthetic.
The beautiful yellow and green.
Beautiful.
They say the bigger the can,
Bigger the juice.
Yeah.
sweeter the juice.
The sweeter
Amen.
the juice.
Amazing. And just teasy for the rankings.
Yes.
And I'll throw to you now.
Yep.
The rankings are whole numbers out of 5. Okay?
Whole numbers out of 5.
Yeah.
All right, none of that 0.5 business.
None of that. No, this is
Okay.
Khan's rating system. He's straight to the point. He
Alright.
knows what he wants and likes.
Talk us
So
through the brand name,
Please.
flavor.
Yeah, well, so my one's called Sparkling Watermelon. Oh, that's it, because the rest is in Korean and I can't read it. But it says the most ideal taste, ever. So it's really hitting a point.
Take a big note of that.
But yeah, if you don't mind,
that-
it's beautiful packaging actually.
Sorry, repeat that. Is that most ideal?
The most ideal taste ever.
That is such a funny
That is,
description.
yeah, no, it's an interesting way of putting it.
It's like a humble superlative.
yeah.
So for those of you that are listening and tuning in, it's actually the brand name is SFC Watermelon Flavor Soda, and to your point, it is a Korean drink. So
There you go.
that please do the honors, man.
Yes,
I'll
please.
say the reason I chose this one for you, TZ.
Yep.
I'll hold your mic while you.
Thank you very
open
much.
that, is because.
Yep.
Oh, that's a very good crack. The reason I chose that for you is because I know you're not a big sweet guy.
Mhm.
I actually thought it was like sparkling watermelon, as in like sparkling water
Yep.
with watermelon flavor, but it could have like 10,000 grams.
The thing
of
is,
sugar.
right, I've had a lot of Korean drinks in my time, and I think you could be right. It smells like candy.
Oh.
It smells like
Sweet.
yes, exactly, Khan. So if you don't mind, delicious,
Oh
Yeah?
my god,
delicious.
I was worried, but now you.
Nah.
Yeah. When you said candy, it's like shit.
It is definitely on the sweeter side, but it's exactly like what you said. It is pretty much a bit like a watermelon water. It's delicious. That's a 4 for me as well.
Oh,
That's a 4 for
oh
me.
my
For those that are
god.
watching on the can, it says the most ideal taste, ever.
Ever.
Wait, didn't you already say that?
I did.
Oh yeah, I mean, I knew that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Planet Khan, baby. In that spaceship.
I'm landing.
Speaking of Planet Khan, baby.
Hey, all right, let's go do it, man. By the way, this can is incredibly aesthetic, so Nims, you've done really well. But
Thank you.
yeah, I'm just gonna hold there for a second. It's obviously pink with the green hues, Sorry, it's got a little muscle man doing a bowling ball action pack sort of move.
It's a fitting drink.
Look, just quickly before you review, the reason I picked that is because of that man on the can.
Oh.
And also, just want to give it up to my boy. He's been in the gym. He's been eating good. He's been taking care of himself, staying off the beers, being a nice, wholesome
I appreciate
young
it.
man.
Yeah, man.
Working.
And he's looking
Looking good.
Good.
Rico Suave.
He got the recognition at church today. He had a
Mhm.
bit of a man crush.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man.
By the way, they're going to put you on that can soon enough, my boy.
Yeah.
Where you're going.
I have no idea what's in there for you, and
Excited.
okay,
I'm worried and excited.
Sorry for that,
can go
that delay,
horribly
but it's a
wrong.
Gianli Bao classical slim can carbonated drink, and this one's actually a peach.
Oh, okay. I did not expect that.
Yeah.
I did not expect that.
And he
Here we
got
go.
that peach though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh!
Man, no.
This is the pure top.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's
boy.
an experience
Very
in
interesting
itself.
shape. Well, it's like a triangle.
Yeah.
Oh, it smells good, babe.
Settle down. Fella. 2 sips. Oh, God.
Damn, that is good, man.
On a streak.
Peachy? How peachy is it?
Peachy, but it's like the right amount of peach. It's like
Yeah.
Not too strong? Not
it's
too
not even
sweet?
that fizzy. I didn't think this is fizzy. It's
Interesting.
like it's not carbonated.
Man, the way all the carbon hits you when you pop the can, my boy.
That's where it went.
Okay, maybe it's a little. It's like it's not even bubbly. Like I don't know if you can see this, but
Yeah.
it's, not even, it's like clear.
Yeah.
But it's got a little fizz to it. But I'm gonna say it tastes like what a peach would taste like if you like put a little sugar in there and little bubbles.
No bubbles, huh?
Bubbles are invisible.
Mm.
So imagine that for a second. Close your eyes. Yeah, it's doing its thing. Like this would definitely be something that I would drink on a hot summer day like today.
Mm.
I'm gonna give it I'm gonna take a 4th sip because I just want to make sure I don't give it full marks.
No.
Just,
Okay. Full marks is high praise.
If, in case you're wondering at home, I'm sweating profusely.
I'm gonna give this a 5 out of 5.
Oh my God!
Good.
Whoa!
5 out of 5. That's uncommon.
Dude.
Aesthetic on the outside and delicious.
Oh.
Nailed it. Johnny
Design
Bao,
color.
ladies and gentlemen. Johnny Bao.
I've got to say, when my people, like, I find I get a lot of joy out of my people winning. To see my boys happy like this,
sir.
it's a
Wow.
blessing. I always like
sir.
to say, if you hang around Teasy, good things gonna happen to you.
Sunday blessings.
I appreciate
Sunday
you, my
blessings.
guy.
There we go.
Oh!
Sunday
We're
blessings.
still learning that handshake, by the way. It's coming along. It's coming along.
It's practice.
Yeah.
And last but very not least,
Yes.
Nims, please
This side, this side.
Do the
Oh,
honors
through the
with-
legs. I might get you to hold
On
this.
the
for
mic.
me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I might just like, get you to say the name of the brand on
Yeah.
the can.
Before I sip, it's a Hey Song Sarsaparilla. But yeah, sarsaparilla is it's like a root beer type of drink. Not
Yep.
a lot of people like it.
Yep.
I'm one of them sick individuals that does.
Yes, you are. I'm definitely one of those people that doesn't like it.
You don't like medicine soda?
Yeah.
Nah, can't say I do.
Anyway, I'm going in.
Hey, song,
Here we
get in
go.
there, bro.
I'm going in,
Cowabunga, dude.
and I'm a go pop.
Gentle.
That's some good medicine.
Oh,
Ooh.
How's it compare?
Did you just do yourself?
Yeah.
How's it compare to like
Lean.
Dr. Pepper?
That is, man, for me,
but take another sip and
Reminisce.
double down on that,
Yeah.
that review. Because I feel like you're gonna give this a high point.
Yeah, I feel like this is gonna be at least a 4. Where we at?
Drum roll.
shout out to my people in the Dominican Republic, because that's a cinco, baby.
Cinco de Mayo.
Sunday blessings.
Yeah. Amen, amen,
Two
amen.
fives in
Oh,
one
that's
episode.
tough.
That's never
Two
Damn.
fives, two
This
fours.
is a strong result, man. Well done, Nims.
Well done, Nibs.
You've done good, boy.
Nailed it.
I can stop
Absolutely
sweating
nailed
now, man. My boys are happy. I'm happy now. To finish off the podcast, we wanted to get a bit deep. Really talk about how we've been challenged in our faith and how we've overcome those challenges, or even if you haven't, this is a space to kind of talk through the challenges you've had in faith. So, so the one time that I think I want to say hit rock bottom, but I've always been a pretty positive and open-minded person, and it was kind of in 2019. I was having a terrible time personally in my career, with my family, going through some stuff in my relationship. I felt like I was letting everyone around me down. I get a bit emotional kind of talking about this, but I remember you probably don't even remember this moment, but you asked me, I think someone asked me at work if I was okay, and I just walked away, and I actually went into the stairwell and cried. And I remember just feeling so empty. Like and almost like losing my spirit, losing like what I equated to as my faith. And my faith to me is actually like, I think about it as a flame inside of me. I think about it as not a light, but a flame, a fire that burns. And something that keeps me going, something that keeps me, you think about fire, you know, you can kind of like talk about it as like a source of energy that keeps you kind of going, but it can be out of control. At times you can have blind faith, you know, and it can lead you to do things that you shouldn't be doing, you know, and taking actions that you think are the right actions but aren't. In other ways, that flame can be distinguished, and you can have a pessimistic outlook on things, and you don't have the energy to go on. You don't have the energy to kind of to build fortitude and to push through difficult times. And I've never, you know, like, you know, I don't know who I have to thank for this, but I've never given up, but that's the closest I've ever gotten to. And I didn't think I'd get there as a person. And like I said, like, I felt like I was not the man that everyone around me needed in their lives. And I didn't think I was the person that I thought I was as well in that moment. I felt weak, and I didn't feel like I had anything. And it took realizing that, like, you know, faith and that fire is something that I have to nourish and replenish and build. And that was really through a lot of self-care and self-love and looking in the mirror and forgiving myself, and also just like keeping that fire going in healthy ways, not using spite, not using kind of negative energy, not really understanding the intentions behind what I was doing in my life, and realizing that, like, I can only be the best that I can be, you know what I mean? And I can only do the best that I can do. Beyond that point, sometimes I'm not going to live up to the expectations that I have or other people have for me, but I'm going to keep that fire going no matter what, no matter what. So, yeah, it's kind of.
I'm glad you are, man. It is a warm fire. You know, it attracts a lot of people, and it keeps a lot of people going. You know, so thank you for sharing that, Nims. I guess I want to kind of ask, like, what were some of your, you know, guiding lights that kind of helped you pull yourself back? Like, what were some of those? Like, was there anything that kind of resonated with you? Was there what
like
kind of
like an epiphany of sorts, or was it like kind of like a slow build back? Or
I think perspective is really important to me. I think try to be aware of the hardships that I'm going through, and not to kind of like look at myself in the mirror and be like, not validate the fact that I go through my own struggles. Everyone's got their shit, but and not say that like my shit isn't anything compared to someone else's. I don't try to do that, but I also just try to think like just to genuinely be grateful, and not just have gratefulness practices, but just genuinely had to step back and be like, hey, you're actually not doing too bad. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're okay, and not having like a toxically positive mindset, but actually just kind of putting sticks back in that fire. You know what I mean? You have a beautiful family. You know, an amazing family that cares about you and loves you. Same thing with friends, same thing with my career. And I think I got so caught up in that moment, and I lost sight of the fact that this marathon, you know what I mean? Like there's time, I've got time. I've got time. I can keep building and keep building. Might not be there today, not tomorrow, but I'll get there.
Great.
So it's just putting a stick in there every single day. And like I said, also realizing that when the house is on fire, you know what I mean? And when I was a bit out of control, it was like reining that back in, regulating that a bit. But that's kind of how it's going.
That's great, man. Thank you for doing that.
I actually think a lot of the analogies that you've given overlap a lot with, I think, what we learn in the Bible and from a Christian faith perspective as well. Actually, like in the Bible, the Christian faith is often described as a flame as well. The Apostle Paul actually says in the New Testament, he encourages his believers to fan into flame the gift of God, where the gift is the faith that you've been given, and to fan it, and much like the image that you've provided, it's kind of, when you fan the flame, it's to keep it alive, it's to grow it. And I think even your analogy of realizing that, with faith, it's not a sprint, but it's a marathon. I think that's so powerful as well, because as someone who's been a Christian for about like 13 years, I've seen my fair share of Christian mates come and go. And I don't mean necessarily just from the church, but just from Christianity. So I think it's definitely very much a marathon when it comes to faith. But I think to answer your question about kind of like, when faith has been tested, I think definitely in my Christian faith, it's been tested daily, and I mean daily, both inwardly and outwardly. So what I mean by that is, like, I think in my time of being a Christian, I've read and been taught things biblically that I might not have agreed with, or maybe some things I still struggle to agree with. There are things that I see with my own eyes in the world that feels like it challenges what I've been taught and learn and believe. And then there are things in my own personal life that makes me doubt or struggle with my faith and my belief. But that's the thing. I think one thing I've really learned in 13 years, and that's the perspective. 13 years is both a long time, but also not a long time. And as Christians, we're always taught that things are measured in the context of eternity. If I finish this race, then it's in the context of eternity, and 13 years is not a long time in that context. Right. But I think what I've come to learn is that I think if you have doubts in your faith, that's actually not a bad thing. And if anything, that's a good thing. Because I think doubts, depending on what you do with the doubts, shows that you care. And I think to me, I think especially being a leader in the church, I'd rather have members who genuinely struggle with things in their faith and wrestle with it and have doubts and want to finances. I'd rather a Christian like that than someone who is complacent and just just thinks everything is fine, it's all good. They feel like they know everything. They don't second guess anything. I think there's no sharpness there. There's no hunger there. There's no thirst there, both for their own growth relationally with God or their understanding of the Christian faith. I think like we always get taught at church that theology, so the knowledge of God, that is both helpful because it helps sharpen your relationship with God. Yet if all you have is just head knowledge and it never translates to heart knowledge and therefore outward hands and change of life, then what good is head knowledge? So I think like for me, my faith has been tested many times because there are things that I doubt and struggle with. There are things that I idolize over God and I need to repent of or give to God, whether that's money, relationships, the way people perceive me, health, all these idols that are all gifts from God, but yet I fall in love more with the gift than the giver. And so for me, I think how I've come to really work through that and work through these pickles, as we like to call it, in my faith. I think it's often been surrounding myself with good people that can help rebuke me or correct me or gently encourage me or even affirm me to get back on the right path. And then that's the outward influence, and then the inward influence is actually very much the discipline as well. I think like Zeith, you mentioned earlier that you've tried to read the Bible so many times and sometimes you just don't get things, but then sometimes later on you do get it. And I think that's the thing, I've come to learn that the Bible, my head pastor, always likes to tell us this quote that the Bible is so shallow that anyone can come to it and drink from it and learn something. Yet it is so deep at the same time that even those who think they're so knowledgeable, they call themselves theologians or experts in the Bible, in the scripture, even those people continue to come back to it and still drink from it and get something. So it's both so shallow that it's approachable, but so deep that you can find yourself drowning in it and that there's so much to learn. And so I think for me, it's like, well, if that's the case, then I think it's that commitment, to my relationship to God. Not just about checking the boxes of read the Bible, pray. Yeah. I think it's, if I genuinely think that God is my center, then the things I do with and for God are very much out of a heart of worship, a heart of trust, a heart of humility, a heart of love, knowing, that because he first loved me, I feel so grateful and I want to love him back. So yeah, I think a lot of my faith has often been challenged, but I've overcome faith through having good foundations and, like your analogy, putting sticks, down on the flame to keep it going. And those sticks can come in different forms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I can kind of pinpoint a moment where it has been tested is like, I don't want to be a broken record here, but when my dad passed, it could have been very easy for me to question everything about my faith, right? Because during that point and period, it was definitely a lot of prayer and a lot of hope and just, putting everything to God and being like, oh, please, do whatever you can. I know, I definitely have a lot to, repent for and things like that. But when he did pass it, a lot of you can easily go, damn, that prayer didn't help, or damn, doing all that work didn't end up doing anything to kind of save him. But I kind of took that moment to go, that's easy to do. It's easy to discount everything and kind of put that away. But so I kind of challenged myself to go, no, look, the thing about God and his eternal glory and his ever knowing presence, right? Like the fact that he knows everything is that we won't understand it. And so I might not understand the reason this happened. Maybe that might come down to me because in several moments of my life, there have been reasons where, there have been times where I won't understand something, but it'll hit me 3 years later or 10 years later. I'm like, this makes sense. I had to go through that to get here. And I think that's where a lot of my faith has been tested, is the patience of it, is to know that I do like to believe that there is a God up there and he's looking after me and that there is something that is much greater than me that has an understanding of what is to come. And so putting that faith and that patience there is a constant test, because every day you have to I think what I've started to go out from is trying to question the what am I going to do in a year? I found that sort of questioning doesn't help me. So I try to break it down to a day-to-day level, but even within the day-to-day level, like TZ said, your faith gets tested, right?
Yeah.
How do you try and live some of those values of humility, compassion, forgiveness, right? How do you bring that to the forefront of your everyday? So I think that's what it's been for me recently is okay, you don't, and one of my biggest beliefs, and it's still yet to get shaped, is like T said, you have your head knowledge. There's people who read the Bible, study it, know it by heart, but how effective is that if you don't live that? I genuinely think there are people who aren't Christians that are Christians, right? In that you could be of a different faith or not even have faith, but you yourself share the same values of Jesus, right? That you lead with love and you have those same values. And so for me, a lot of that is you don't need to be doing that things. You can be of that, value. So I think for that's where I'm trying to just hone myself to go, no, it's easy to become distrustful. It's easy to become spiteful. It's easy to become all these things. It's a challenge to be patient. It's a challenge to be loving. It's a challenge to be forgiving, not only to others, but yourself. Because I think a lot of times it's you'll come back from a day of work and you're like, man, I could have done better. I could have done this. I could have been better here. I could have been smarter. But it's what does that actually do? I might actually there's a little passage. My phone died, but it
that's the Lord.
Give me a
Lord
sign.
saying, Zeke, you capping right now.
But it talks about being humble, and one of the leading passages for me, and it's kind of my family's passage, is Psalms 23. It's the one about the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not be in want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. And I think that kind of leads a lot of my life, is knowing to be humble, that you should be grateful. The Lord has provided, be able to sit down and reflect on what that is. And so a lot of it is a lot of the things that my dad has taught me, which I'm now able to reflect on and go, man, he really was preaching a lot of this for years. Ever since he understood that I had a consciousness, he's been preaching this to me, and
Right.
now I'm just starting to understand it. So
Mm.
yeah, man, it's an everyday one, but
It's a grind.
hopefully we get
That's
there.
so beautiful,
Yeah,
man.
wow.
Amazing.
Mm.
Yeah, one thing that resonated with me, which I'll kind of segue into a bit about me, is the realization or the revelations you have later in life, and that could be in a year's time or whatever life event happens, and then you go, wow, that event has that meaning, and it only makes sense when you're out of it, and like
Yeah.
can easily go as simple as when you're going through some sort of traumatic experience or heartbreak or sort of, you know, crisis in your time in life. And obviously when you're in that field of your life, it's just emotion, whereas when you finally do the healing or do the work and you're out of that scenario, then
That's
you go,
it. That's it.
damn, I've got that revelation that's why it is.
Exactly.
And going to me, I think like I look at faith as like the universe, and we're all connected in some way or shape or form. And you know, whatever belief you have, I think we're all put on this earth for the same reason. That's love. Like we all want to preach the same thing. It's just kind of communicating a different language, typography, calligraphy, whatever it may be. But when I come to faith or religion, or I'd say faith in a better use of word, I've always considered myself a little bit hypocritical. Like I've only looked at faith or religion when shit's not gone right in my life. Like if I had physically unwell, or I was, you know, health, like mainly for health. Like if I was physically unwell, I was going through a really tough time, then I'd reach out to God or to universe and go, hey, can I get better?
Yeah.
I promise I'll be a better person, and
Big
blah, blah,
fact,
blah.
yeah.
And then go.
Yeah.
And then when I'm good and everything's all, you know, everything's all circus and bread and life's gravy, like I don't even think about it. And it's so that's not how it should be.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to put more practice in my life, in the sense that I'm trying to be more present with faith by every day before I go to bed, I will hand pray instead of, you know, I don't
Yeah.
do the traditional prayer, but I'll do a hand pray before I go to bed, and just make sure I'm grateful for, you know, access to clean water, food, shelter, clothes on my back, like
Yeah.
being cool in hot weather, being
Yep.
warm in cold weather, like
Yeah.
things like simple human life. Because I really want to take anything for granted. I know we all aspire to be pretty,
Yeah.
you know, big people in our life, and I don't want to take anything for granted. But also, it's a form of meditation for me. It's a form of being mindful and present in the moment. Just go, you know what? Like, if it means as a simple reminder before I go to bed, and I might do meditation or whatever, but then I'll pray and be like, okay, this is my time to be like, okay, I'm definitely here, and I acknowledge that life can be ups and downs. Right now, it's okay, or it's an up, but I know when shit hits the fan, I don't want to just revert back to faith, because that's going to get me out of that pickle.
Yeah.
So that's the way I kind of treat it and look at it now. I don't want to use it as a means of just from a negative or a bad experience to look at faith, because like at the end of the day, we're all humans. We make mistakes, and if anything, religion teaches us, especially in Islam, it's like we're supposed to make mistakes, and you're supposed to ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Again, with anything in life, if you don't fail, you can't succeed. That's the lessons
Yeah.
learned
Yeah.
through our mistakes, our failures. So that's the kind of ideology, or the little sort of, you know, message I try to remind myself is like, that's the key.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful way to end proceedings for the day. I think we've spoken to all our individual faiths, and the amount of overlap that we have in our belief systems, our principles, our morals, whether you believe in Jesus Christ, in Allah, in Ganesh, in the universe, in time, you know, it's something as simple as time making things okay, you know.
Yeah.
I think that faith is important to have in any form, and I really hope that, you know, anyone watching today got something out of our perspectives, and I'd really love for people to share their own when this kind of goes out into the world. So thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for being a part of this with the Something's Coming team. Don't worry, Khan and Zeke, there's no camera on them right now because the battery died, but I'll do a bit of an MS Paint job, and they'll be doing like a peace sign, a thumbs up. All right, cool, got that in the memory bank. A very special way to end today's episode. The boys are going to come in frame here, and TZ's going to close this one out with a bit of a prayer for us. So Teasy, I'll let you take it away.
I'd love to. All right. Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you so much for time together as friends, to have this safe space and this open space to be able to converse, to share, to reflect. Lord, thank you so much that in these conversations, they've been seasoned with so much genuine vulnerability and trust, curiosity, and love and respect for one another. So, Lord, we do pray and we hope that for not just us, as much as it was very fruitful and awesome and beneficial for us, we hope that to those who are listening to this episode, that hopefully they feel quite stimulated as well, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so as we've kind of shared, faith is important, but it's such a vast and diverse space for those who want to traverse through it. And so we ask that you guide people, and with that, this podcast, the episode, could be something of a helpful soundboard to bounce people's thoughts off of. And we ask for all this in your Son's name. Amen.
Amen.